The linear rails on the X and Y are causing too much vibration at the end of the spindle, so it's time to change them. This will be the new Y-axis plate that we will mount our Z-axis to. This will be the new Z-axis to mount my spindle onto. And this will be the new rear plate to mount my rails on for my Y-axis. So I'll set everything up on the CAD, and I've used the existing mill to mark out all the holes on the new plates that I've got. Why do it by hand when you've got a CNC that's going to do it for you? That's the idea of it. These are going to be the new bearing blocks to hold the 1204 bore screw that I've also purchased. So here I'm just setting up some 31.7mm aluminium square bar. This is what I'll make the bore screws out of. And the feed rate's set at 500mm a minute and the plunge rate's 400mm a minute. Using a 20mm lead in with a 0.25 cutting depth. Cutting any deeper just causes too much vibration, which is not good for the spindle or our milling bits. So as you can see, I'm just checking the holes to take me your bearings. I've now turned it over and we're just milling down the plates so they fit in the gaps. And here I'm just separating the pieces. This is the back side, cutting the bottom end for the second bearing. And again, just slicing the parts into two so I can finish off with a saw, because it just needs a 10mm square. I decided to just drill out the majority of the internal parts because it's quite a deep hole to mill. As my CNC isn't up to it, I thought that was the safest option. Well, after a lot of hole drilling and counter boring holes, it's coming together nicely. I've used a HGR20 rails and blocks on both what I call the Y-axis, most people use it as an X, and my Z-axis. And I've also purchased a 1204 bore screw for the Z-axis. I think it's 250mm long. I decided to use the 1605 bore screw that's already on the mill. So here I'm just milling out a new block for mounting the bore screw to for the back of my Y-axis. And as you can see, it doesn't mill very well as it is at the moment. I mean, on this side here you can see all the vibration marks from the milling, and yeah, it's not going that deep. I mean, it's smooth, it looks okay to the touch, and these are the parts that we're going to be milling out next. I mean, this is a deep plate, it's 20mm deep. The material I'm using is 6082 T6. So it's good for milling. It's a hard magnesium alloy. I can only literally just cut sort of 0.25mm deep really. If I go any deeper it really does start vibrating and it gets really slow. I mean, you can see here just by looking at it now the vibration marks that it's leaving on the bottom, especially on this section. Over these long pieces here you can see all the tiny little vibration marks it's leaving behind as it's moving along. And if I was to turn the sound up, you can actually hear the resonance of it doing it. But this will all be sorted out soon, all going well. And here we are. It's pretty much almost all back together now. It's all running. All I've got to do here is remount my homing switches. But it seems to be moving a lot better. There's just moving it backwards and forwards as I am now. Before, you could actually see the whole thing shaking, and nothing's actually moving at all now, not even the cables from above, but you can't actually see those. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this has turned out so far. And the best part is about to come. This now is actually the very first piece I started milling. I've used all the same settings that I was using before, and just looking at it you can see how shiny the material is as it's cutting. I'm really impressed with this, and yeah, best thing I've done to this machine. I mean, when once it's cut it down, I do a full depth cut, like a final cut around the piece, and it's taken off 0.2 of a millimeter, and the chips it's creating without hardly any vibration at all. I mean, it is such a big improvement. I mean, it's creating a full depth chip. It's 10mm deep, taken off 0.2 of a millimeter, and it's still leaving a nice smooth finish, which I couldn't even get close to that before. So yeah, enjoy. Thanks for watching.